You push the pub door open with your shoulder because the handle sticks a little, and before you even step inside, the smell reaches you. Beer, cigarette smoke, wet coats, old carpet, furniture polish, crisps, rain on wool. The landlord looks once, then carries on pulling a pint. A man at the bar checks your face. Someone near the dartboard turns just enough to see if you are local. You are not. And in a pub like this, that matters more than anyone needs to say. The room is not large, but it feels full from every side. The bar runs along the left. The carpet has gone dark where people have stood in the same places for years, and the wallpaper has yellowed from smoke. Coats hang from hooks. Pint glasses catch the amber light. Cigarette smoke sits under the ceiling like a low cloud. Somewhere near the back, a dart hits the board. Someone coughs, someone laughs, and a glass lands on the bar with a hard little knock. You stand there for a moment, trying to work out how the room works. This is not a modern pub made to look old. Nobody has arranged the furniture for charm. Nothing quite matches. The tables are marked, the chairs scrape, the beer mats are bent, and the ashtrays are already busy. Behind the bar, packets of crisps hang in rows, cheese and onion, salt and vinegar, ready salted. There are old beer pumps, bottles of stout, barley wine, towels, rows of glasses, and a till that looks like it has heard every argument in the building. You move toward the bar and realize there is no proper queue. Nobody forms a neat line. People lean, wait, glance, shift, and somehow the landlord knows the order. A man in paint-spattered trousers gets served, then a woman with a cigarette in one hand, then an older man who has said nothing at all. You think it might be your turn, so you move half a step forward, but the man beside you gives the smallest shake of his head. Not yet. He does not say it out loud, because he does not need to. In this pub, the rules are not written down. You learn them by nearly getting them wrong. So you wait until the landlord finally looks your way. You order a pint of bitter because it feels safe. The glass comes down with a dull knock, amber beer under a soft head, leaning slightly to one side. Nobody explains it. Nobody tells you it has notes of anything. It is bitter, you ask for bitter, and that is enough. You put your coins on the bar while a man nearby complains about decimal money, even though the change happened years ago. He says old money made more sense. Another man tells him he says that every Friday, and the first man says that is because it is true every Friday. You pick up your pint and look for somewhere to sit, which turns out to be harder than it should be. There are empty chairs, but some are not really empty. One belongs to a man who has gone to the toilet. One is part of a group, even if nobody is sitting in it. You choose a small table near the wall and are about to pull out a chair when a voice behind you says, "Someone's there, mate." You freeze, because the chair looks empty. Then a man points at a flat cap sitting on the window ledge. Apparently, that is enough. You nod, pretend you understood, and move to the next table. In 1974, even a chair can have a history. The new table is sticky near one edge. A beer mat is folded under one leg to stop it rocking, and the ashtray in the middle has 3 cigarette ends inside, one still sending up a thin grey line. Your pint leaves a wet ring the second you put it down. Now you can watch, and at first the pub sounds like noise. Then, slowly, it becomes a map. Near the dartboard, 3 men play like it matters. One throws, steps back, and waits for judgment. Someone says, "That'll do," in a tone that somehow sounds like praise, insult, and warning at the same time. Another man throws too hard and misses the board, and when the dart hits the wall, the whole corner groans, as if he has let Britain down. At the bar, a man with paint on his sleeve talks about possible layoffs at the factory. Nobody knows who yet, but his hand keeps turning his glass round and round while the landlord listens without trying to fix anything. Near the window, 2 women sit with drinks and cigarettes. One laughs into her hand, while the other leans closer to say something private, but not too private, because pubs are places where secrets travel even when people whisper. A woman in a patterned blouse walks past your table with a cigarette between her fingers, gives someone behind you a quick smile, and for half a second looks like a person from an old photograph. Then someone calls her name. The smoke moves and she disappears back into the room. That is how the pub reveals itself. You only catch pieces of people, a face, a laugh, a complaint, a name shouted across the room. You lift your pint and take the first sip. It tastes ordinary, and that is part of the point. Nobody has come here for a perfect drink in a perfect room. They have come because the week has ended, and this is where the week ends. Some are delaying going home, some are meeting friends, some are avoiding the quiet, and some are taking the seat they always take, because not taking it would feel strange. The jukebox starts, and a familiar song fills the room, not loud enough to stop conversation, but loud enough to change it. A few heads lift. A man taps 2 fingers on his glass. Someone near the dartboard complains about the song, then carries on playing anyway. The music blends into everything else. Smoke, rain, glasses, jokes, work rumours, football scores, and the sharp smell of salt and vinegar crisps being opened at the next table. You look toward the windows, now steamed up enough that the street outside has blurred. Inside, the pub feels sealed off from the rest of Britain. The regulars stand in their places. Older men have their corner, the dart players have theirs, the bar has its own order. Some people speak loudly without thinking, while others lower their voices out of habit. A pub like this can be warm, but it can also be hard to enter, and that is the part nostalgia often leaves out. Not every pub in 1974 feels welcoming to every person. Some still carry the memory of public bars and saloon bars. Some still feel like men own the main room, while everyone else is allowed in around the edges. You notice it in small things. A joke that lands badly. A woman rolling her eyes but saying nothing. A stranger being measured before being accepted. A man at the bar acting as if years spent in the room give him permission to say whatever he likes. Nobody calls it a system. They call it how things are. Before that thought becomes too heavy, someone at the next table opens a packet of salt and vinegar crisps, and the smell cuts straight through the smoke. A man asks if they still do pickled eggs. Someone tells him only a madman asks for a pickled egg after 8 o'clock. And another man says he had 2 last Friday and lived to tell the tale. The whole table treats this as news worth debating, and you smile before you mean to. Every time you think you have understood the pub, something small and ridiculous pulls you back in. A man comes in with wet shoulders and a folded newspaper under his arm. Cold air follows him through the door, and everyone near the entrance complains as if he brought the weather in on purpose. He says, "Don't start, it's worse out there," and the room understands before he explains anything. The week has been long. Money is tight for some. Work is uncertain for others. The country feels tired, but people do not say that in a grand way. They say it through smaller complaints. Beer's gone up. Buses are late. Can't get decent coal. Same rubbish on telly. You take another sip and realize your pint is half gone, though you do not remember drinking that much. Pub time has started working on you. At first, everything was sharp because you were new, but now the edges have softened. The voices are less like noise. You begin to know who is loud, who is quiet, who is funny, who is waiting for someone, who has had enough, and who will pretend he has not. By now you can tell the landlord is not just serving drinks. He is watching the room. He knows who should not have another too quickly, which argument will die on its own, and which one needs a look. Near the bar, a football argument grows louder. It starts with a score, moves to a player, then somehow becomes about someone's brother-in-law. The landlord looks over once, and the men lower their voices just enough to show they noticed. You sit back and look at the table. Beer mat, ashtray, cigarette ash, wet ring, and a little burn mark near the edge. These things are nothing on their own, but together they feel like proof that thousands of elbows have rested here, thousands of worries have been placed beside pints, and thousands of ordinary nights have left marks nobody bothered to clean away completely. By now, you almost forget what year you came from. It is not the clothes or the smoke or even the beer that does it. It is the feeling that people once belonged to rooms like this in a way that feels harder now. They did not need to book a table, text first, or announce they were coming. They arrived, and if they were known, the room made space for them. That kind of belonging could be comforting, but it could also be tight. If everyone knows you, everyone knows your business. A pub can keep you company, but it can also keep score. Then the bell rings for last orders, cutting through the room without needing to be loud. Everyone understands it before you do. Some look at the clock, some lift their glasses, and some pretend they did not hear it. Now the pub speeds up. People who have been quiet suddenly remember something important. Someone buys a round too fast. Someone says, just a half, then changes it to a pint. The landlord starts pulling pints with the calm of a man who has seen this panic every night for years. You finish your drink slowly. The last mouthful is warmer than the first. Around you, chairs scrape, ashtrays are gathered. Someone laughs at the wrong moment, someone coughs, and someone says, same time next week, without waiting for an answer. Because, of course, it will be the same time next week. Until one day, it is not. One day the smoke will go, and that will be better. The old divisions will fade, and that will be better too. The carpets will be replaced. Some rooms will be knocked through. The beer will change. The people will change. Some pubs will become cleaner, brighter, and easier for more people to walk into. But something smaller will still be lost. The landlord knowing your drink, the folded beer mat under the table leg, the sound of coins on wood, the rain on steamed glass, the way a quiet man could sit alone and still be part of the room, and the way a Friday night could have a place to go. You stand up, and the pub looks different now. The room has not changed, but you have learned how to read it. The corners, the stools, the glances, the jokes, the little warnings, the kindness that does not call itself kindness, and the unfairness that everyone pretends is only habit. You came in thinking you were walking into an old pub, but really, you walked into a whole social world. A messy one, a smoky one, a warm one, a hard one, a real one. For one Friday night in 1974, you were allowed to stand inside it. Then you step back out into the cold. The door shuts behind you, and the laughter is trapped inside again. Rain shines on the pavement. The streetlights glow orange. Your coat smells of smoke, and your hand still remembers the weight of the pint glass. You look back at the fogged windows. From outside it looks like any other pub, but now you know better.